Sorry, the lights are... They're just lights, come on. Suddenly, Vinyl had lost the pep in her voice, a fact that Breakbeat noticed almost immediately. What's wrong, Vinny? You know, that stallion back there was just... He was related me to my parents. Why does every pony have to do that? They're my parents. Big whoop. I'm a pony too. I mean, why am I just the daughter of mezzo-soprano and paradiddle to every pony? Can you tell me? She said you. She never says you. The thought struck Breakbeat with the force of a hammer. What was more troubling to Breaker was that, the very first time, the sympathetic pony didn't have an answer for the questions his friend was asking. I'm not sure. His voice trailed off all a morning aria. I didn't think you'd know. Come on, Breaker, let's go inside. Vinyl telekinetically opened the glass door that sat underneath an arch in the building and allowed Breakbeat to enter the building first, a short breeze dancing through his mane as he entered. Vinyl followed suit, the air floating by her as well. When the two ponies took their first steps onto the hardwood floor, they entered a special world, one that they felt only they could appreciate. Guitars hung from the west wall, basses from the east. In the distance, 3 hallways could be seen side by side, each leading to a different wing of the museum, which was famous for the very strange detail in which it operated. For as long as the museum had been open, guest exhibitions had been common. That is, rather than displaying new memorabilia, new ponies were displayed, giving lessons and demonstrations to any pony that paid a simple fee. Good afternoon, little ponies, a homely mare waved Vinyl and Breakbeat from behind a desk. How'd you wander in here? Are you two lost? Breakbeat and Vinyl giggled at the question. Nah, we're not lost. I'm Vinyl Scratch, and this is my best bud, Breakbeat, Vinyl answered the inquisitive mare, her voice echoing throughout the room. We're here for the guest. The mare behind the counter was shocked, to say the least. Oh, but it'll be very loud in there. Are you sure you wanna... Look, lady, we just walked a couple miles to get here. I think we want to see the guest. The pressure of the day must be getting to her. The thought rested in Breakbeat's mind as the mare began to respond. Well, if you're sure, it's 10 bits. 10 bits? Breaker, I promise I'll pay you back. She never did. Breakbeat frowned for a second before pulling another small bag of bits out of his saddlebag and tossing it to the front desk. Every pony talking about her parents must be getting to her again, he thought to himself. After opening up Breaker's bag and counting the bits inside, the teal mare pointed to the leftmost of the 3 hallways to the north. That's the rock music wing. That's where the guest is. Just follow the sound of the drums and you'll get to the guest. And please, for the love of Celestia, don't touch anything. Some pony tried to steal Power Chord's guitar a few months back, and it was all over the news. No problem, miss. You won't even know we were here. Vinyl smirked and turned to Breakbeat. Now come on, Breaker, let's go. She feigned enthusiasm as she smiled at her friend and led him down the west wing of the museum. The west wing was, without a doubt, the most famous in the museum, gathering over 50,000 visitors per year, as opposed to the 33,000 that visited the blues wing and the minuscule 16,000 who somehow found the jazz wing to be enjoyable. At the time, an electronic music wing was in the works, but no pony truly expected anything to come out of it. As Vinyl and Breaker traveled through the first hallway in silence, they each gazed at every piece of memorabilia that the establishment had to offer. Picks, guitars, drumsticks, clothing. The museum seemed to have everything. The further they traveled, the more prominent the sounds of wood clattering against copper violently. His eyes filled with wonder. Breaker turned to Vinyl and asked, So who's the guest? Is it Tom Tom? Or Double Kick? Who is it? You've got to tell me. Oh, none of them. But I'm sure that the two of ya are gonna love each other. Vinyl laughed for a moment and smiled at Breakbeat. When they reached the second hallway, one lined with doors leading to different eras of rock history, the sound of drums pounding began to fill their ears. And once they had traced the origin of the sound to the third and final door on the right, labeled Exhibition Room, Breakbeat opened it slowly. Inside, in the corner of the claustrophobia-triggering room, pounding away at an impossibly large kit from atop a drum throne, was a stallion who boasted a dark crimson coat and a spiked white mane, accompanied by a small crowd of spellbound ponies who sat in silence from their wooden seats. 3 seats in the back row were left unoccupied, and after noticing this, Vinyl led Breakbeat to them, their legs bumping into those of the audience members. After getting to their chairs, the two ponies rested their saddlebags on the floor and sat down. Taking a seat after all of the walking the two had done was a relief for both of them, as if they could just sink into their chairs and float away to a calmer world. However, being in the same room as a drummer meant that was not going to happen anytime soon. As Breakbeat became entranced with every beat the drummer played, Vinyl found herself trying to think. She always did in the end. When did the loneliness start? When did her parents begin to suck her into their world? Oh yeah, memory returned. Not the beginning, it's so close. Vinyl, her mother in her distinctly Canterlot manner had called up the marble staircase. Be a dear and come down here. The upper-class accent bounced off each and every wall it could, creating a long reverberating sound. What is it, Mom? I'm about to listen to a new record Breaker gave me. The high-pitched voice of the mezzo-soprano's daughter did not reverberate in the way her mother's had. Her door was closed, as it had so often been. Vinyl wasn't one to relate to her parents. Their tastes in music and hers were too different. I hope your little friend has chosen some quality music rather than the usual rubbish he infects your mind with. Again, the ostentatious voice danced its way upward to Vinyl's door, filling the main hall with sound. The sound of a doorknob creaking reached Mezzo's ears, and the high-pitched voice echoed, It's not rubbish. It's one of Breaker's favorite bands, so it's fine. Yes, because he has such a fine ear. Well, I think he does, so just let me listen to it, okay, Mom? Vinyl's tone had grown a bit more harsh. I'm your mother, and you will refer to me as such, young Billy. Heh, make me. The door slammed, and in just a few seconds the muffled sound of distorted guitars and heavy drums flooded the entire second floor of the house. This nonsense again, Mezzo muttered to herself as she stomped up the staircase. Vinyl scratch, that music is tripe, and you and I are both completely aware of it. No reply. When Mezzo reached Vinyl's door, the sound of aggressive, near unintelligible vocals filled the angry mother's ears. Vinyl, turn that nonsense off this instant. Your father is trying to sleep. This, as Vinyl was well aware of, was a complete fabrication. Her father was a very punctual stallion, even making a point to go to sleep at a designated time, 10:42 p.m. sharp. Vinyl wasn't sure why he chose 10:42, but then she wasn't sure of many things when it came to her father. At that moment it was 8:35 p.m., and it was because of this that Vinyl was able to pick up on Mezzo's lies immediately. He's not asleep, probably just reading or something. Vinyl's reply was as apathetic as ever. Well, that doesn't change the fact that you need to turn that ridiculous mess you call music off. Mrs. Soprano opened Vinyl's door and made her way to the record player by the bed where Vinyl had pushed her face deep inside a pillow. No more of this nonsense. I'm taking this record and the phonographer. From now on, you will only listen to proper music. For the 100th time, Mom, it's called a turntable. Breakbeat got that for my birthday. Vinyl looked away and muttered as her mother grabbed the device and began to walk off. And on that note, I don't want to hear any more about this Breakbeat. Once she found herself in the hallway, Mrs. Soprano slammed the door of the bedroom. As she opened up the stairway to the dilapidated attic to store Vinyl's only real possession, a tear streamed down the filly's face like honey. The last record Breakbeat ever got her. That's what it was. The last song she'd heard that reminded her of the only colt who could truly understand her. Her tear reached across time and flowed down her left cheek once more. Thinking Celestia Breakbeat was to her right. She wiped away the tear, and, after phasing back into the present day, was able to catch the ending of the guest's performance. As the pony's sticks slammed against a pair of cymbals for the final time, every pony in the room began to cheer, Breakbeat included. All right, the pony behind the drum kit said, with a bit of exhaustion after wiping away a bead of sweat. At this time, I'll be taking questions. Immediately, Breakbeat's hoof, along with about 4 others, shot up. You in the front. A yellow stallion smiled. What was it like working on your new album with Flashbang? The exuberant pony stuttered his way along the question. Breakbeat's eyes widened as he turned to Vinyl. That's Ballistic? From Flashbang? He giggled like a foal in a candy store. Yup. Vinyl managed to smile, though she opted not to turn back to him, instead looking at the excited colt out of her peripheral vision. Questions piled up, ranging from what was your favorite song from the new album to will you go out with me? The answer to the latter was a bout of laughter from every pony who remained in the room. When it was finally Breakbeat's turn, the Q&A had been going on for over half an hour, and every pony else had left. With enthusiasm, he asked his question. What kind of drums do you use? A simple question, but after hearing the brightness of Ballistic's snare, Breakbeat was dying to know. A horseshoe, of course. It's my company, well, my family's. My dad runs it. Breaker's smile grew tenfold. No way! It's my family's company. What's your name? His calm voice suddenly grew excited. Well, every pony calls me Ballistic, but before I tell you my name, you tell me yours. The red stallion raised an eye. I'm Breakbeat. Oh, Gravity Rolls, kid. I've heard about you. I'm Backbeat. I think Gravity and my dad are cousins, if I'm not mistaken. Vinyl let a smile spread across her face as Breaker trotted up to his idol. So my cousin is the best drummer ever? That's too cool. Can I maybe hug you? Breaker grinned. Sure, come here. The stallion embraced Breakbeat, who was experiencing happiness to the point of laughter, with a hoof tightly before letting go. Now don't tell any pony I did that. You're my cousin, but I've still got a reputation. Can do. So what's it like? Being a pro and all, I mean. Suddenly Breakbeat was able to regain some of his composure. Backbeat's response became blurred in Vinyl's mind as thoughts took hold of her once more. It's good to see him act like a colt for once. Why the hay does he worry so much about me? I know we're friends and all, but the hoof-holding seemed kind of weird. Doesn't he know I can take care of myself? I can, can't I? I don't need Mom and Dad. I know I don't. But Breakbeat, he feels different. So we'll catch up later, okay, Breaker? Backbeat's voice halted Vinyl's train of thought. Sure thing. Vinyl saw the two ponies hug one more time. Oh, and Backbeat, this is my friend Vinyl Scratch. Backbeat stared at the uncharacteristically listless pony's flank for a moment, taking a few seconds to laugh before walking toward her. Remember when I got my cutie mark? Don't think too much about it, Vinyl. You'll get it sooner or later. He placed a hoof around her neck. It's going to be great. You'll see. Yeah, it'll be great. Vinyl broke her silence with a nearly sarcastic response. Breaker, you ready to go? Mm-hmm. Just let me get my saddlebag. Breaker was as cheery as he'd ever been. He pulled his bag over his back, and Vinyl followed suit.